listening to another episode of the Boo Bros, where we talk about all things horror and haunt-related. So kick back and relax as you enjoy another spooky edition of the Boo Bros podcast.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Boo Bros podcast. This episode that you're listening to was filmed on Friday, June 11th. So if any information comes out, like an HHN announcement or anything like that, on the day that you're watching this, just know this episode was filmed on June 11th. Anyways, episode 6 here with Connor from ConnerFL and Tony from the Nights of Horror. Anthony, where have you been on these podcasts, man?
Well, for starters, you guys, I was working nights, so you guys just been like, screw that guy.
Filming at nights.
Not gonna film with him. I don't think anyone wants to see me on this channel anyway, so okay.
East versus West views.
I'm just kidding. No, I just been busy. May was a busy month for me. We moved with my mom. She moved from another house, so I've been every weekend going over there and doing stuff. That's why I've been kind of AFK on my channel too. So
hey, well, we're back now.
But we back,
We're back. And we're back for an exciting episode. Small panel today, but nonetheless, at least we have West Coast representation and East Coast representation.
Self-promotion.
Yeah, self-promotion.
Welcome, by the way, welcome to Tony Vision.
Tony Vision.
Oh yeah, Tony Vision. That's the whole reason you're gonna see him with that filter on this whole time.
Yeah,
I'm trying to center myself.
Don't ask us why. It's just he preferred it.
Yeah, before the show, he was like, "I'm gonna do the whole show like this," and we were like, "Okay."
Yeah.
It looks cool. I'm on a TV screen. Like, how many people can say they've been on TV unless you watch YouTube from your TV?
Are listening to the Spotify version, and come over to youtube.com/boobros so you can see what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, you're probably very confused if you're on Spotify right now.
Yeah. But like when I mentioned Spotify, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, you can listen to this when you're driving to a theme park or you're just kicking back and you just want to listen to it and just turn it on while you're doing laundry or whatever. We have a Spotify account that you guys can check out. Maybe a little bit hard to find right now since you're not super big, but we do have a Spotify where you can just listen to the audio.
Do it like how I do it. I listen to it at work, so
that's what I do. I listen to it on my long drive to the theme parks. Connor, what's our topic today? It's a good one.
Well, pretty much this is like kind of a mini podcast, I guess. Obviously the big news, which we're a little late to the party on, is the newest Horror Nightmares speculation maps. We got a drop for both Hollywood and Orlando, and there were a couple changes. So we figured we would just kind of talk about the spec maps, what's changed, maybe what we're excited for if all of this ends up being true, because obviously only Beetlejuice is confirmed for Orlando, not even confirmed over in Hollywood yet.
Puppet Theater.
And Puppet Theater, yes.
Yeah, come on, you can't sleep on that house, man.
I
got in trouble when I said it was going to be bad.
It was leaked, man. You can't sleep on it, man.
Well, it was leaked. It was accidentally leaked that turned into an announcement.
Yeah.
That was a good little documentary, though. I wish they would do more of those.
It's funny because they didn't even send out an official press release for it. They just put that documentary up.
The weird thing is when you go to the HHN Orlando website and you click houses, Beetlejuice is still the only one listed, on social media yet, on Twitter. But I mean, we know.
When was that announced, by the way? That was back in January, wasn't it, or something?
It was earlier than that. I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was at the end of HHN Light.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was right after the event. I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was January, February. I'm so off.
No, it was so
this
early.
year. This year time is irrelevant. So
yeah, I don't even know what's going on anymore.
I don't even know what day it is anymore.
We're gonna start off with Hollywood, because we're just gonna get Hollywood out of the way since it's nothing's really changed at all. And I guess the big change to that map, the new map that HNNightmares put out, would be the confirmation of Pandora's Box version 1 instead of Pandora's Box, the sequel, the brand new storyline, which I kind of speculated on last podcast that the layout is the exact same. But Tony, I've yet to hear your thoughts on the whole Pandora's Box situation.
Yeah, I've been kind of silent about the speculation maps, and I think we were going to record something, but I was like, I'd rather do it on Booze Bros.
Mm-hmm.
I was a fan of that maze in 2019. I think it was a big hit or miss kind of thing going into it, because you never know with originals, but it really executed well, and I really enjoyed just walking through, seeing the scenes. I think everyone can say it that the best scene in that house was the big opening secret door entrance, which literally just took you to the same path that you were going to go on anyway, but it was still cool to go through. You felt exclusive if you got through it, but Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it to come back. I just hope it's not. I hope there's some changes, but if there's no changes, I don't think I would be as mad. I'm not really mad about anything with this lineup, just because I haven't been to HHN in about a year now.
Yeah.
So I'm honestly just gonna be happy to go back.
It's especially crazy for people who didn't get a chance to go to HHN Light, having no haunt experience. I mean, other than the local haunts that went on during the pandemic, but still having no haunt experience, it's like it's gonna feel so nice to be back at the event.
Yeah, it really will. And you brought up the local haunts last year. That's really what we did: home haunts and independent haunts and new haunts. A lot of the home haunts we went to were great, and I still got my haunt fix last year. And I always hear on the East Coast they don't get to that opportunity to do those because not a lot of people put them on. But very fortunate enough to at least having to got a hot season last year. Whether it was not as big as I thought it wasn't something I was doing every weekend, but even Knott's was generous enough to put on a kind of tribute haunt in a way. If you really,
and it still
look at
was like really like nice. Like it felt like a haunt in a way.
Yeah. I mean, you had people walking around, and then at night, if you went into Camp Snoopy, you had all the memorabilia from the past year, so that was really cool to look at. But yeah, I'm really excited to get back to the parks for haunt season, man. I mean, I'm hearing good news about Knott's. I'm hearing good news about Horror Nights. We got a new haunt popping up, at least on the West Coast. It's new to us. We're getting Hallowstream SeaWorld. I'm excited to see that. If I get a chance, it'll be my first time to check out Six Flags this year if they're going to do a haunt. So, I'm excited to try new things and get back to the old routines.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the big old routines is definitely HHN. And even though like all these home haunts are great and everything, HHN and Knott's are really the granddaddies of the haunts here in LA, and they put on the best quality. So, like you said, I'm fine with this lineup. Like I
would
really
go as far as even
complaints.
to say, sorry to cut you off, but I'd go as far as to even say Knott's was like the OG to kind of start the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about HHN.
Yeah.
Screw Knott's. Just kidding.
Well,
I love you, Knott's. Knott's is great.
But HHN, man, I mean, this what was starting to scare me a little bit, obviously, for people who've been keeping up with forums and whatnot. Amazed that I've really want to come to the event. I hope it does come to the event. Was Halloween 3.
Oh yeah.
We saw signage being taken down. But I'm not going to rule it out just yet, only because they did the same thing with Beetlejuice. I forget what, I think I want to say it was TLEV, but if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. One channel actually started showing a little set piece for the facade for where Beetlejuice is speculated to be at. And when that immediately got shown, the flame, which we all know.
I think it was actually by a random person, like just a random guy on Twitter pointed it out.
And we all know what that leads to, obviously, with the whole Inferno Room in Beetlejuice, one of the most iconic scenes, which was a facade I was hoping to see. Immediately when that got, leaked out, they took it down and kind of put it away. So that's going to be like one of the last things they put up. But I have high hopes. I really want to see Halloween 3. I think it's such an underrated movie. A lot of people don't like it because there's no Michael Myers. That's not true. He's got a cameo in the film.
I don't think that Halloween 3 is scrapped. On the last show, we were talking about, it could be scrapped. Why did they take down the sign? But if HNNightmares has it still on their map, which they're a pretty reliable source, and it doesn't say or something else like Orlando's does, I'm pretty sure it's still coming, especially if they're saying it's still coming. Even though they're not official account, they're the closest to official account as far as these rumors and stuff go. But going back to the whole Pandora's box thing, I'm fine with it. Personally, I would like to see Pandora's Box, the first one, over a sequel, because with the budget cuts this year and whatnot, I feel like trying to develop a whole new original story would be difficult, and I feel like they kind of fail at it just because of the budget cuts, not because of the talent regarding John Murdy and Chris Williams. I just think solely due to the budget cuts, I don't think they'd be able to pull off as good as a sequel. So I'm fine with the first one.
Now, speaking of budget cuts, one thing that stuck out to me on the Hollywood map was no scare zones.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to be a thing, or do you think maybe there's just no rumors yet? Or because wasn't there something about like a gauntlet that was rumored before?
That was where Bride of Frankenstein Lives is now rumored, and I don't think that there's going to be scare zones. But like I said in my own video, if there is scare zones, I think they're going to be reused scare zones, and I don't think there'll be any new ones.
I think with scare zones too, it's not even something you have to announce right now. You can literally think about them literally the week before.
Yeah.
Go down to his warehouse and pull out some props and just create something real quick. You
Yeah.
know,
And
or not even that. I mean, he could use reuse costumes. You know, maybe just Frankenstein some stuff together. I don't know.
yeah, I think like especially in Hollywood, I don't even think Universal is. I think they have an idea of what things are going to look like, but I don't think they're 100% sure what things are going to look like in September.
Right.
Even though we have a pretty good idea. So even if right now they're thinking those scare zones, maybe things are really good by the time August rolls around and they're like, yeah, we can throw some scare actors in the street, as like a last minute thing.
It's still relatively early in the speculation season too. That's the thing. It's like, yeah, even though stuff's starting to heat up, it's still relatively early. There could also be, like you said, let's just throw scare actors in the street. I feel like with the event, they're gonna have chainsaw gangs, that they just kind of roam around the park as far as scare zones go.
Because even if there isn't any officially named scare zones, roaming hordes, very easy to do. And I kind of have a hard time envisioning Hollywood doing an event with nothing in the streets at all.
Well, that's our thing. That's our thing that we have over Orlando is that we have really, really talented scare zone actors that go, like, not saying Orlando doesn't, but Hollywood they kick ass in acting and everything. Yeah. And so it sucked to not see us have that.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I mean, there's still, we got a few months, about 3.5 months, near 3 months left until the event opens.
Have plenty of time to make
I'm just gonna leave this out here for Hollywood fans, anyone watching that are from the West Coast or planning on visiting the West Coast for Halloween. I don't know anything. I really don't, and this is all just my speculation. I've been speculating this since I heard that the California was going to open full capacity. Mm-hmm. Keep an eye about next week. June 15th is when everything's supposed to open up. I would keep an eye that week. We may start getting announcements. I mean, we've already gotten something we didn't talk about too is Murdy just sent a pretty interesting tweet on the Horror Nights Twitter account. Instead of pardon our Stardust, which is usually the signs you see around the theme parks when they're doing construction, whatever, it said pardon our Stardust. That was crossed out, and then next to it was sawdust.
Saw confirmed. Saw confirmed. Saw confirmed.
Yeah, Spiral confirmed.
I'll be honest though, I saw Jigsaw finally, and I wouldn't necessarily be mad, but don't scrap Halloween 3.
Wait, okay. Also, I wanted to bring up one other thing about Hollywood. I was going to ask if this surprised you guys with the lack of Terror Tram on the map. Were you guys expecting to see Terror Tram?
No, and I didn't realize it until you pointed it out in the group chat because the whole big rumor was let's do Terror Tram to allow more capacity in and make guest flow a little bit better. But now obviously we have the two Curious George mazes, which are in the same kind of tram route. And you'd have to always have somebody there, like kind of directing traffic if you're still going to do Terror Tram. There's no alternate route. There's absolutely no alternate route to get to Terror Tram, like the place where they do Terror Tram at. So gotcha. I don't think it's going to happen with the Curious George mazes.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I would love it to happen, and it only makes sense with, the whole pandemic and everything. It's all outdoors and everything, but yeah, I gotta kind of agree with Scott. I mean, I don't think traffic control is the main issue because they did work around. You got to remember too, like when us and Pandora's Box were in the tram garage area, they still were directing traffic because they still got people that are driving around on golf carts or driving around regular carts that work late at the park, that are executive production people, whatever. Mm-hmm. So they still gotta direct traffic, and it's more of a safety thing rather than, it doesn't even matter if there's traffic coming in and out. It's just more of a safety thing. So like a line doesn't block that area. So, yeah, I'm a little curious, but if, the Curious George mazes are going to be, since they're going to be right there, I would assume like us in Pandora's Box, they're going to utilize the tram line. So
and it like goes back to that, like a whole traffic control thing. I guess it'd be different, like having a tram come every 30 seconds, a giant tram compared to a couple golf carts here and there. So what I would propose, as if they were still planning to do a Terror Tram, and my crazy rumor in my head says, why not they do Terror Tram? They take you to where the backlot mazes were at, where they're usually at, and a Gauntlet area that could be Terror Tram.
Yeah,
that could be a lot of fun. Definitely a possibility.
It's cool too because it's a little way to get back there. Mm-hmm. So it could be cool to like have a little like over the years what Universal done with horror, you know, how much of an influence
On
they
the
had.
screen.
Yeah, like how much of an influence, you know, they basically, it's safe to say they're the godfathers of horror, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They brought up the Universal monsters, and that's what spawned
Yeah.
generations
As far as
and
like movies
generations
and
of
everything
things.
goes.
Yeah, it spawned like generations of horror movies, you know, to come. So you could play like compilations of like Universal Monsters, you know, all the slasher films they've done, American Werewolf in London, you know, movies like that, just to kind of get people in the mood. And then maybe when you get to a certain part, whatever the story may be, you know, play the video for the story.
Yeah.
So another thing I wanted to touch on just before we transition to Orlando, Tony, you mentioned something about the 15th of this month.
Right.
And that actually lines up interestingly because I have seen a few like journalistic publications on Twitter saying that Disney World here is lifting mask mandates for vaccinated people on the 15th.
Nice.
So that could be interesting. And then
Well, and SeaWorld's already announced it too down here.
Have
Really?
they really? I did not know that.
And I'm sure Disney and Universal will follow very shortly.
Yeah.
I know a good example of a big kind of area, and it may be the same down in San Diego. Me and Scott are both, and I maybe Connor, I don't know, I forget, but me and Scott are really big baseball fans. And I know Dodger Stadium at June
Connor's
15th.
a baseball fan. His team just sucks.
June 15th at Dodger Stadium, they're opening full capacity. Have you heard anything over at
yeah,
Padre
yeah.
Stadium?
June 15th for Petco.
Petco as well. Yeah,
I'm
so
gonna go to opening day. Gonna go 100% capacity.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a start of opening day. Now, I don't know whether they're going to require masks or stuff, but that's a kind of an example of a large kind of scaled event where it's going to be like full capacity
in that Hollywood area too.
Yeah, especially in Hollywood. Dodger Stadium is literally a couple minutes
It's
down the
literally
road from
like you go
Universal.
down the hill and there's the
Yeah,
park.
it's right there.
Yeah.
So that is kind of like the stepping stone that I'm looking at right now to see how they do with that.
Mhm.
And then from there, you can kind of predict how they're going to deal with HHN.
Well, the thing is it's crazy that you say that because, you said like, obviously the baseball is doing 100% capacity.
Right.
I don't know how it is up in Northern California, but you're seeing a lot of businesses get prepared for June 15th and advertise, hey, June 15th is the day. June 15th is the day. So
Yeah.
it's almost like everywhere is going to open up. Obviously, the theme parks are completely different questions, but as far as businesses go, between grocery stores and fast food places, they're all saying, hey, June 15th is the day, no matter what.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
I remember, and this is going to be a little off topic just real quick, but grocery stores in the beginning, they were like really strict on letting so many people in.
Mhm.
And then there was like a point in the pandemic where they just stopped caring.
Yeah,
and they
that was
just
like
don't even
after
care.
the second lockdown, that's when they just stopped caring.
Yeah.
Which
so
was unfortunate because that's when it was the worst.
starting to
Yeah, that's
spike
when it
up
got
again.
bad.
But nonetheless, I mean, I could say for California, 70, from what statistic wise, the last time I saw, 70% of California is vaccinated.
Yeah.
Which is
Really,
really
that
good.
meant that much?
Yeah, that much. We're getting vaccinations out left and right, but it's looking good. Obviously, that doesn't mean COVID's gone away.
Like being in Florida, I think it was like a week and a half ago, having the mask off, it still made me feel comfortable because like obviously everywhere in Florida right now, I mean, Connor, you go in the grocery store, they don't need masks. You go to theme parks, you don't need masks. It felt nice though, because in the theme parks, it seemed like it was still a good balance of people wearing masks and people not wearing masks. Now, obviously, I'm not saying all the people wearing masks is because they're not vaccinated. Some of them just feel it because they don't feel comfortable taking it off yet. But it did feel good that I was able to not wear my mask since I'm vaccinated and have, kind of that honor system of people who aren't vaccinated quite yet still wearing their mask. And I feel like if Florida was able to do that and have a good mix of people, then California for sure is able to do that.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, I'm really, I got high hopes for California. I mean, I think we're getting in a good place, and I think it's looking really positive to see things open up. Haunts happening this year, so let's just keep it up, guys.
Yeah. So a good note to transition over to Orlando. Just in terms of what's on the map, the houses remain unchanged except for that Shrek building location. That's where things are a little weird right now.
Shrek building, the Shrek curse.
Yeah. So obviously this was supposed to be Billie Eilish in 2020.
Which
that didn't happen.
Eddie Tane is so in denial that we weren't going to get Billie Eilish.
Yeah. But listen,
Does he really think we're still gonna get it?
No, he thought that we weren't gonna get it. He's saying how
from the start
we were not gonna get it at all, even
Wasn't
though
there-
there's
No,
wasn't
it
there
was
evidence?
happening.
There was evidence of it though. They were selling props. Like,
Yeah,
they
it
had
was
props
happening.
of it. Justin has a prop from the Billie Eilish house.
what more does
Yeah.
this guy need? This is like telling this guy freaking. Never mind.
HHN's not gonna happen this year.
Yeah.
We love
yeah,
you,
no,
Eddie, but
I love
Billy
you,
was
Eddie.
gonna
We do.
happen.
Prepare to get Eddie tamed, everybody. But no, obviously this was supposed to be the Billy location, and then she pulled out for her reasons. And
I mean, you can tell with our music videos now.
right, she's basically shifting her public image.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Big time.
So plain and simple, we didn't really know what it was going to be until Creepshow started to get rumored. And that's kind of been the solid rumor for the last few months. But then suddenly people like Orlando people have started saying like, yo, I think it's actually Halloween 3.
Which is crazy.
So now on the spec map, it says Creepshow or Halloween 3. Like they literally didn't commit to one or the other. And there's a little asterisk that says, all our sources are divided on whether the Shrek house is Creepshow or Halloween 3. So we decided to present you with both options for right now. Our next map should have more precise information on the location. So straight up with Orlando, we don't know one way or the other. And I think that's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to actually not know a house.
Yeah.
yet.
Instead
Like
of
it's
just
like,
knowing it
what's
all.
it gonna be?
You know,
Right.
normally I would talk my shit, say some shade about this, but I'm going to the event this year, so I'm excited regardless.
Dude, I'm telling you, when you go through one of those houses, it's life changing.
I just and when I
Like,
say
it is
talk my
life-changing.
shit, like it's just me being a jealous HHN Hollywood fan.
Well, that's
Like,
how
oh,
I
they
was
get
for a
this and
while.
that, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
but then like this year I'm going, so like I have nothing to be mad about because I'm just happy that I'm gonna
No,
be going to both
it's
events.
definitely it's a jealousy thing. Trust, because when I walk through, I'm like, man, Orlando kicks our ass.
Yeah, and you didn't even get the full experience.
Exactly.
So-
We got the plexiglass experience, and I was still
Right.
fine with it.
Yeah, so you guys are both coming to Orlando. So this makes it even more interesting to talk about this map a little bit.
Mhm.
Yep.
Do you guys lean one way or the other? Do you think it's gonna be Creepshow? Do you think it's gonna be Halloween 3?
I think
Um,
Halloween 3 because West
yeah.
Coast is getting it.
And
Or
I think
speculated
because
getting
the general community wants Halloween 3 over Creepshow. Nobody wants Creepshow. We already had Creepshow.
Hey man,
You know,
So-
relax
No,
there, buddy.
I
Creepshow's
I
a
wanted
good
Creepshow
show.
last year, but I'm just saying, as far as Orlando
But
goes, they
Orlando
want
didn't
Halloween
get to
3.
experience
They
Creepshow.
don't, they don't care
okay?
about that. And Connor can
Well,
testify. Everyone in the community is
take
saying
Creepshow.
Halloween 3.
I would
Connor will
take
take Creepshow. Okay.
I would take
Connor's
Creepshow,
a rare instance.
but I would take Halloween 3 over Creepshow. But I still want Creepshow one day.
Here's the thing. Ryan.
Um,
Here's the thing is and I've always said this. I think that Hollywood does a better job at delivering on nostalgia movies. Halloween 3, Killer Clowns, all that shit. So in that sense, I'd like to see their take on Creepshow because I think that their Creepshow would absolutely kill us, and that's just my opinion. But I think with the two Halloween 3s, I think it's going to be more of a steady competition.
Here's my biggest issue with Orlando. And I've talked to Eddie about this on East versus West many times. With Hollywood, and Scott can defend me on this one. Hollywood, they start their mazes from like the start of the film to the end of the film.
I love that. I love that.
And I love that continuity right there. It
Mhm.
seems like with Orlando, they'll like start the big opening with like the ending of the movie, and then when you get inside, it's when it actually it restarts from the beginning.
Mhm.
It's like one of those films that like opens where like, what just happened? Like example, John Wick, when he shows up and he's like all beat up and he's on his phone and everything, and then it goes back and then it tells you how he got to that point.
Yeah, it's like an origin thing.
Yeah.
But I think that has its pros and cons. Obviously, I love the continuity in Hollywood, but to defend Orlando too, I definitely think it has its pros and cons because they want the big scene in the beginning
Yeah.
to really wow.
Well,
you.
I've seen a lot of the walkthroughs. One of my favorites that I've seen was Poltergeist.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole entrance of you being in the pool and it actually smells like rain and dirt, and then you see the house up there, and then you actually enter to the movie.
Yeah.
Another little, and this is just me because I'm a big dude. Me and Eddie were noticing that it looks like Hollywood, when you're walking through, has a little bit more space to walk, whereas Orlando feels a little bit more cramped.
Yeah.
And
Which is a
maybe-
good- which is a good
felt
thing
that
for me.
Walking through Brides, and
That's what I want because it's scarier.
It's
It
a,
is.
and
It
you're
is
as
a
big,
little
you're
scary.
as tall as I am. You're not as big as I am, but you're as tall as I
Right.
am.
well,
Yeah.
what they
Um,
do is they have high ceilings in them. It's really tight, but there's high ceilings.
I feel like it's like that scene from Star Wars where it's like, I feel like the walls are gonna close in and they're gonna crush me. So
No, I think
but
you
I'm
bring up a
excited.
good point. I think you bring up a good point right there, Tony, that I didn't really realize at all until looking back at it. Like, yeah, they do have tighter like scenes and everything.
It seems like I think, and that's the problem with Hollywood's budget usually is our scenes are usually really big. So maybe that costs more to do compared to Orlando, or if they do a bunch of small little scenes, but then make a really solid maze. I think that's
And
why their
solid
quality,
scenes.
their quality always comes out a little bit better. Because if you think about it, you have a smaller room, you don't have to put as much stuff as you do in a big room.
Yeah, we don't use as many, like, I mean, obviously generic black wall reference here, but like not as many transition scenes, I guess. Like,
yeah, it goes from just scene to scene.
But I think they use like kind of those tight quarters things almost as a transition, because like you'll kind of be in a transition, then you'll walk into this like show stopping scene, like a Gozer from the Ghostbusters house,
right?
And then you kind of go back into like some close quarters.
So this just became an episode of East versus West.
But going back to the Shrek building location, I prefer Halloween 3, but one thing that really interests me is this Scare Zone location for Hollywood, and that is like a Shudder compilation zone.
That
and that almost makes me think that it's going to be Creepshow.
Well, but yeah, that's the thing, because that Scare Zone was originally rumored for right next to, what do you guys call that, right after Simpsons?
Like San Francisco area.
Well, no, the San Francisco area is right by King's Cross, isn't it?
Not
or
exactly.
Was that where Creepshow was scheduled?
It's like before. It's well, wait.
Because I'm talking about the one right after Simpsons.
Here's my problem with that, though. Shudder doesn't have really well-known exclusives other than.
But they want the marketing. That's what they want.
They do want the marketing, but like the only big property I can think of is Creepshow, and I believe Mayhem. That was that Stephen Yen movie that was actually really good.
Look,
about that Psycho Gorman that just came out.
Here's the thing that like Connor says, right?
Is Terrifier one of them?
That's how he brings up how he thinks it's gonna be Creepshow now with the Shudder Zone. Before, like when we got in that conversation before, we talked about how Shudder doesn't have exclusives. It was Creepshow was originally going to be rumored like the Scare Zone for the San Francisco area, which if you're not familiar with it, Tony, it's completely on the other side of the park.
Is that where Killer Clowns was?
No, Shrek is
sort of.
Oh,
the Scare Zone.
Killer Clowns was weird because it was kind of in a spot
that
it was in a spot that no zone had been in before, but it was closest to San Francisco.
It was the start of San Francisco.
Yeah, the where they usually have the zone is where they had Hellbilly Deluxe last year.
The smallest zone.
For 2019.
Was the most popular that year with Killer Clowns.
Yeah, but San Francisco is completely like it's not on the other side, but it's still far away from the Shrek. So why wouldn't they put the Shudder Zone?
That's what confused me
in Hollywood. You know,
like on the original spec map, when I saw it was Creepshow House and Shrek, and then Creepshow Zone across the park, I was like, first of all, I don't feel like Orlando would do a house and a zone on the same property in the same year. I don't really think that's something they do.
Yeah,
and if they did, it wouldn't be like all the way across the park like that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that HNNightmares has Shudder on their thing, because like you said, if they wouldn't do a Creepshow Zone with the Creepshow House, so that just leads me to believe that it's going to end up being Creepshow, although I wish it'll be Halloween 3, it's going to end up being Creepshow, because why else would there be a Shudder Zone if they weren't planning to have the Creepshow House? You know, having a Shudder Scare Zone, I feel like you can do a better Scare Zone there, and the only reason you do a Shudder Zone is if you are having another property from Shudder in a house. That's just my take on it.
And I think they would definitely use Creepshow in the zone for sure.
You have like to have a creep running around.
Oh yeah, like properties they don't use in the house, they could easily put in the zone. And even if like there's not a ton of super popular Shudder properties, keep in mind that this very location once did a Scare Zone based off the show Face Off. So
that's what your guys' Face Off was?
We had a maze.
Yeah. So I feel like they'll be able to work with it.
Well, arguably that is one of the bigger Scare Zone locations.
In my opinion, Hollywood's actually the best Scare Zone location
because you have so much room there.
Yeah, it's like the perfect size. Like New York.
Is that where they did Vamp 85?
Yeah,
that was New York.
No, not Vamp. Vanity Ball.
Ball.
Yeah.
Vamp. The problem.
I felt like that Vamp 85 area though was kind of good size too, though.
Well, this is what I was gonna say. Was like New York. It has enough room, but for me, it almost has too much room.
Okay.
And so like sometimes like you go too long of a stretch without seeing anything happen.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Hollywood's perfect. It's like it's big enough to have a lot of set pieces and a lot of actors, but it's not too big. You know what I
Dude,
mean?
New York is just so big of a zone. Like I feel like it should just be the end of New York to like the entrance of the two houses right there.
Yeah, I wish they would shorten it a little bit, make it a
Instead
little
of
more
like making a
compact.
whole turn and everything.
Yeah. And
It's
then
just weird.
obviously some of the other zones, like, you know, Central Park is a good location for a zone. It's very
Mhm.
atmospheric, but it can get bottlenecked. San Francisco can get bottlenecked. Obviously, the front of the park scare zone is usually the smallest. That can get
It's like the
bottlenecked.
crappiest.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much
Which is
most of the time.
what is the front of the park zone? Is that
So
the 30th?
the front of the park is 30th anniversary.
Okay, that makes sense.
I believe it'll probably be like icons. Usually the front of the park zone kind of sets the tone and like the overall vibe for the event.
That's like the advertising.
You do not
Basically,
know
yeah.
how long I've been waiting to see Jack the Clown in person.
Yeah.
do
Well, I
not
think
know.
If there's a zone, you'll be able to see him.
you're going to be able to do that this year. And you might
Can
also be able to
see
do it over at
Fans
the
too.
at S2. The because right now
Yum.
before like the Fear Factor stage was rumored to be like a rest area, looking like we're probably not going to need that anymore. So now that's transitioned to a
I
Jack
completely forgot
stage
to add that to
show.
the list.
Yeah, Jack stage show is currently on the spec map.
If Jack can do me a favor, if he's watching the guy who plays him or any of the people who plan on playing him, please, for the love of God, my dream has always been for Jack to talk shit to me. It's weird, I know,
Yeah,
but the guy
he's
is
good
is
at
the
talking
king of
shit.
doing it.
So
it's
Yeah,
a
and I
valid
wanna-
dream. I respect it.
I want it so bad. I've loved Jack since even before I went to Horror Nights, back in like the early when they first announced like Leatherface, Jason, and Freddy were coming. I think for like
Mhm.
16 or 15, I don't remember. That's when I like discovered Jack with the whole fortune teller thing. I was like, I love this character.
anyway,
he's-
speaking of the character per se, okay, hold on.
What are you gonna talk about? I think you're gonna talk about.
The stage show, right? It's gonna be obviously some form of Carnival of Carnage. If it's true,
yeah, probably something similar to
it's
that.
not gonna be Bill and Ted versus Carnival of Jack the Clown. But dude, that stage is huge. That venue is huge. Could you imagine the set for Carnival of Carnage?
All the special effects they'd be able to use in that location.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
It should
that
be
was a fun
really
show.
good. Should
That was
be
a
really
fun
good.
show.
Because screw Academy of Villains, we don't talk about them anymore.
Yeah, we don't need them.
Yeah, we don't need them. We need Jack back. And the Lagoon Show. Now, I said this in my video, but just imagine the Silver Shamrock Novelties little commercial playing on the Lagoon Show, dude. Oh my God. That would make everybody flip.
I'll tell you what, that Lagoon Show is, I mean, it's going to be really tough to top 29 because for me.
Wait, are they doing it? Is that speculated? Are they going to, are they speculating that? No way.
Well, not the exact same one, but a Lagoon.
No, I know, but.
And they have projection mapping too.
That's so awesome.
So when I saw Marathon of Mayhem, for me, that's like one of the best things I've seen in a theme park.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of my favorite things. That I liked it better than most of the houses, and the houses were really good. So that is obviously very intriguing. And I also do want to point out a couple of the other zones, particularly Central Park in San Francisco. One of them is an Eddie zone, not Edutainment, by the way. Eddie, Jack's brother. And then N is Terra Cruentus. These are both like mildly obscure, like not
which
if you're
is
a fan of
crazy because
HHN.
if we're gonna have the 30th anniversary zone, obviously that will more cater to like Cary, Ohio, and everything, and just icons in general.
It's not Cary, Ohio. It's Cary O.
Cary, Ohio.
Cary O.
It's gonna be interesting because then they have Terra Cruentus, they have Eddie. So it's just gonna be weird, but I'm all for an Eddie zone. Like he deserves more recognition.
Yeah. It'll probably, if I had to guess, the zone will probably be titled like Run something or other, because that's kind of like the Eddie stuff.
Yeah.
But to see him get his due is really exciting. And same with Terra Cruentus. And
because the last time you saw her in her own thing was at Islands, right?
Right. That was HHN 15.
Is that the icon that comes out every so often?
No.
So basically, here's the story. Like HHN 15 is the only time the Terra Queen has appeared. And
Islands Adventure.
Basically, that whole event at HHN 15 was Terra Cruentus. Like every zone and like most of the houses took place in this realm called Terra Cruentus, and the Terra Queen was the ruler, right? And on the last night of the event, she like sacrificed herself and was like, "I'll return in 15 years," which would be 30. So they actually bring her back for 30.
I chose the right year to go then, huh?
Which, yeah, dude, the 30th anniversary is gonna kick ass. Like, I don't understand why people hate this lineup so much.
I don't. That's the thing. You know, I think I've talked to Scott about it a couple times. Talked to the rest of the bros about it. I don't know why people are so pissed off about these speculated lineups. For one, they're not even confirmed. For two, just be glad we're getting HHN back.
Yeah, that's I
Right?
wanted to touch on
Because
that.
there was still a rumor that we weren't going to get it this year.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm just glad to be back to smell the fog. This is gonna be a weird one. To smell the chainsaw gas, you know, like
Yeah,
you know when you go opening night and
Because
you
that
smell
shit is gas.
you smell the fresh wood and the nice paint and it just the sense and smell. Like I'm just excited to be
Yeah.
back in that
I
environment.
will say this, like there's really nothing you can change. You have every aspect of an anniversary year. And I said like a historical representation year. You have the icons, you have Carrie, you have the houses that you've always wanted to see in Beetlejuice, Universal Monsters. Even though we already saw it, not everybody in the country got to see it who would want to travel that didn't get to travel.
a very small percentage saw
Yeah.
it.
So it's killer.
I would say like I
saw it.
totally agree with Tony in that they could pretty much have any lineup of houses this year and I'd be happy just to go.
It could be
Yeah.
all black walls.
But even if COVID was not a thing, to me this is like a super ultra elite lineup
Mhm.
For Orlando. Like you said, 30th anniversary, it covers pretty much all the beats, right? You
Yeah.
have essentially 2 anniversary houses, and then you have an anniversary zone plus 2 other zones that are based on like icons that weren't even official icons,
On top of IPs, all that's good stuff.
right? And like the IPs you have, like Beetlejuice, what better IP for an anniversary year than Beetlejuice, who has
Literally,
an extensive
because he's
like,
had historical
exactly
class.
like with HHN and with the park in general, it's pretty much perfect.
Mhm.
And then, like you said, you have Universal Monsters representation. You have a classic slasher representation.
Let's
with
not forget about the
Leatherface.
show.
The show. Yeah, you have 2
I didn't even
shows
realize
that'll probably.
I didn't realize when you just said the classic slasher, Texas Chainsaw.
Don't forget about pizza
Exactly.
fries, my dude.
Yeah,
Pizza fries are overrated. Make sure to check out the latest Ask a Boo Bro episode.
Boo Bros up right now.
And then, of
Um,
course, you have a few like ground up originals like Tooth Fairy, Puppet Theater, Wicked Growth.
Which are going to be amazing. And Wicked Growth
Yeah.
is still going to tie into the historic past.
Yeah, exactly. So
You know,
So
the one thing that I'm
it's-
looking forward
yeah.
to, just because I've never gotten to see it and I've only seen videos of it, and it's gonna be more of a daytime thing, is to actually experience the HHN tribute store.
yes,
the tribute store is going to be, I feel like it's a couple rooms are going to be the same, but there's going to be definitely.
But I never got to see him in person, so it will be all brand new to me.
Mm-hmm.
and I personally can't wait for merch images to start coming out.
Right.
Oh,
I can
yeah.
start planning just how bad of a financial hit I'm about to take on all this.
You're like, all right, I
anniversary
need
merch.
this shirt, I need
killed it
that
with merch.
poster.
Yeah.
Just for the light event, they killed it with merch.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and
And I think that's what honestly gave them somewhat of a budget too, because
So many people bought it.
so many, especially Beetlejuice, a lot of that sold out.
Because
Yeah,
it wasn't
it
even
definitely
like
helped
an
with their
HHN
recovery.
thing. Like you could just buy it like and be a fan of Beetlejuice.
Well, you gotta think about it. What are you paying? Like $20 a t-shirt? You're paying like $6
Like
for a
28.
lanyard.
It's
Yeah, you're
almost 30.
$6 for a lanyard. You're paying like $15
it adds
for a
up quick on
hat.
you. It
Like
adds up quick on
$40
you.
for a fucking sweatshirt. Like it all that money adds up. So
and
they
you
made
go
some
from
profit.
room to room and just buy and buy and buy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I that's pretty much all I have in terms of thoughts on things. I want to ask you guys, coming for the first time, what your most anticipated house is based on the rumors.
So before we
Orlando?
get into that, I want to talk real quickly about we forgot one, which is Seek and
Oh.
Destroy.
Oh yes.
Seek and Destroy. Do you have
Metallica. Okay,
any
I'll tell you
info on
guys
that?
right now exactly what that means. Metallica is doing a show every like other hour for like an
no.
hour. So they're gonna be playing
Oh.
multiple sets. They have a residency at Horror Nights this year. And
They're like the
so,
Jabberwockies.
so they didn't get to
Oh,
tour
God.
a lot, at all last year. I don't think anyone got to tour last year. So Metallica was like, we want a residency at
They're like,
Universal
let's go
Orlando.
make a
Jeez.
quick buck.
And so I don't even think I'll be at Mazes. I'm just gonna go see Metallica all night because how many opportunities you get to see Metallica like that,
I think
So-
Seek and Destroy is an original.
I do too, and I'll tell you why. I think if it was rumored to be a Metallica zone, the map would have said Metallica zone,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Seek and Destroy would be such a random choice.
For a song.
And this could just be me projecting because I honestly would not want a Metallica zone.
Get the fuck out of here. You're a metalhead.
Tony was gonna be
How
mad
dare
about it.
you?
Dude, I like the new school, man. I like the metalcore, the hardcore. The old heads,
Slipknot.
not as much. Not as much.
You
Okay,
tell
well,
me you wouldn't love an Iron Maiden area?
I would
Dude,
like Iron
imagine
Maiden.
a Slipknot zone or a house. Come on.
That I mean, Slipknot's like
Slipknot can work.
yeah, that's like my childhood right there.
Megadeth. Ooh.
Yeah,
Back to
but
it.
yeah, but no, I think Seek and Destroy. I think it's kind of more of a coincidence. I kind of don't think it'll be called that when it comes out. I think that's just like kind of a concept right now. But we'll see.
I could just imagine the description, like I said, like, oh, better watch out for the monsters who lurk the area seeking to destroy you guests.
it would be cool if it was like I think I saw someone tweeting like, what if it's like androids, like the mechanical uprising?
Oh my god!
Because you
Like
couldn't you see
yeah.
some robot being like seek and destroy.
Yeah, that would
And
be
then
cool though.
And
Like,
then he presses a button. Search it. Seek and destroy.
Going back to the whole Metallica thing, though, I don't want to rule it out quite yet because, like you said, it would have said Metallica on there, but also in 2019, where Pandora's Box was at, was rumored for a Metallica maze. I
Yeah.
forget who put it out there, but it was rumored for a Metallica maze.
Listen,
So, and
I believe that
just-
was on a spec. I think that was on a Nightmares.
That was really
Yeah.
early on.
we know Murdy can execute music mazes. You know, Black Sabbath is probably my second all-time favorite maze at the event.
Well,
Alice
and then
Cooper
the
has done a
other
great
thing that
job.
would add to that proof of it could happen is because of Rob Zombie in 2019.
Which was very well received, the Rob Zombie Zone. So
If any band is getting a maze, it better be this fucking band right here. Better be the
Misfits.
Misfits. Because they fit. They are literally the definition of Halloween when it
They
comes
don't
to
fit
music.
anywhere. They're misfits.
good point.
I'm a misfit.
But I guess we could go to the what we're most anticipated for. So I'll start it off. For as far as I'll go house, zone, and show. House, what I'm most anticipated for is probably, I would say Beetlejuice, but after watching the walkthrough, I was kind of disappointed. Don't come after my neck, guys. But I would say that the Icons house is the one that I'm most excited for. I think that the Icons house is going to absolutely kill. And seeing what Orlando can do in a soundstage compared to Hollywood, I am so excited for it. But also, this may be weird since they're not new houses, but I'm really excited to see Monsters and Tooth Fairy again. I love those houses. Those were great houses. I think I did them each 6 times, so a total of 12 in total for like both of them combined.
Yeah.
And they just got better every time, man. And it's going to be
Mhm.
exciting that we actually get to see a good returning house.
Yeah, and like you could see, for me, especially in Tooth Fairy, you could kind of see where like scares were missing that they weren't using.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
I think both houses will have more actors.
Yeah. Like me and
So-
Connor were talking about this the other day is there were at least 5 or more spots in Tooth Fairy that were missing.
Right.
That would have been a thing if COVID wasn't a thing. As
Yeah.
far as scare zones go, I gotta say, I was originally going to say 30th anniversary, but I didn't realize that was the front scare zone. So I know that one's going to be kind of the tiny one. But honestly, I got to say Terra Quintus. I think that it's exciting because, like you said, the last time that you saw her was in HHN 15, and it'll be nice, even though I haven't been going to the event. It will be nice to have that kind of historic backstory of like, hey, look, she's resurrected from 15 years ago. And I love seeing that and like Easter eggs and everything. And I guess the runner up to that would be Shudder, just because I want to see how they pull it off. And then as far as the two shows go, I know a lot of people love the Lagoon show, and I think all Lagoon shows at any theme parks kill any themed entertainment, but the Carnival of Carnage in the Fear Factor venue is going to be amazing. That venue is huge.
Yeah.
Tony?
I'm gonna do both coasts if that's okay, because I mean, Scott just neglected his
Pandora's
own home.
Box is my favorite for Hollywood.
Hey, just do it real quick. I have to say for Hollywood, I'll get that one out of the way. It's honestly between Halloween 3 and Beetlejuice. I've always wanted to see a Halloween 3 maze. I almost went as far as to saying if it never comes to the event, I was just going to build my own at a home haunt. That's how much I wanted to see it into a maze. And I was deadly serious about it. I was talking to Samuel, all right, what's the budget? Like, what can we do? But Beetlejuice has always been one of my favorites too. I'm a huge Michael Keaton fan. Batman, Beetlejuice, obviously, and his role in Spider-Man as Vulture, amongst many other ones. But Beetlejuice could be a fun one. As for HHN 30, man, this is the first year I'm ever going to the event. and I have to say, I'm gonna be excited for everything. But if I have to narrow it down, the two that I really want to see, honestly, is because I am very fascinated with the history of Scary Ohio. I want to see what they accomplish with that maze. But what's
I think that's going to be the underdog maze.
I really think so too. I really want to see what that is. But I think the one that's capturing me because of the title is HHN Icons Captured. So what does this mean? Like, are we gonna get? Are they supposed to be locked up? Like, did someone catch them? Is there an overall like someone that actually rules all the icons and he captured them all? Like, I'm kind of curious what that title means.
So the whole story behind that right now, to give you some backstory, is Fear is going to be the main guy, and he has this lantern, and I'm pretty sure he's, the whole story is going to be he captured them in the lantern.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you got 30 years of icons to work with. Just to name a few, there was obviously Jack. There's Chance. There's Eddie.
Everybody's
Storyteller. A lot of people forget about this one too. It was an icon for one of the years I remember, and that was Bloody Mary.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see her return.
That she's in the Terra Quintus zone, because
that could be a good. That could be like a really cool final scare room.
Oh, Lady Luck, yeah, Lady Luck.
Yep.
Bloody Mary could be an awesome final scare room. Like when you think it's all over, and then all of a sudden you see like someone in the mirror, it's you, and then all of a sudden it just switches to Bloody Mary. Like that would be so
that
fucking
would be cool. Yeah.
As far as scare zones go, I mean, Eddie Tainment and I have talked about Eddie alone. I remember we had some conversation on East versus West about Jack's brother Eddie and the whole history behind it and everything.
And how Jack's killed him like 3 times.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see an Eddie zone, but I'm also excited to see that 30th anniversary zone if that's coming. And shows, I mean, I'm excited for both those shows. I've never seen the Lagoon show, and for what I've seen in the past, it looks amazing. And I've always wanted to see the Carnival of Carnage ever since I was a kid. Watching those videos on YouTube, it blew me away, and I think that's where my love of Jack actually enhanced even more.
So I'm actually gonna say for mine, I'm kind of echoing Scott's thoughts, kind of almost to a T here, with my most anticipated. Number one is 100% HHN Icons Captured. I'm just a big fan of the history of the event. I love the history of the event. I love tie-ins and lore. I'm a huge sucker for that kind of thing. So I think this house is like right up my alley. And my number two, I honestly am going to say Haunting of Hill House. I just think
Sammy would actually absolutely love you right now.
I just thought the show was a total masterpiece, and I just think the potential for the set design in this house is off the charts, and so many creepy characters to use. I mean, obviously you have so many background ghosts, but then you have Bowler Hat Man, you have Bent Neck Lady, you have Mr. Smiley, you have Undead Nell. So there's a lot that they can use. Those are kind of my.
I'll speak on behalf of Sammy real quick. His most anticipated maze is Haunted Hill House.
Nice.
Well, Michael's a hater for that, so
yeah.
Watch that be like a fucking beautiful masterpiece of a maze, though.
I think it will. I think
that the facade is going to be amazing.
It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see.
But the facade's in Parade Building, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the indoor facade.
The indoor facade. Yeah.
I'm excited to see what Orlando comes up with that, especially if they do a giant of the house. But there's one scene I want to see more than anything is that scene where they show like all the stairs going up to the house. Like if they could pull that off, like I will be impressed.
So those are probably like the two that are up there for me for my top two at the moment. In terms of zones, again, I'm with Scott. Terra Cruentus is my number one. For me, just the fact that it's like 15 years. She said she was going to sacrifice herself and come back in 15 years, and then they actually did it. As the event has gone on, they've definitely strayed away from the icons a little bit and more focused on IPs. But this zone tells me that, like, hey, they're still paying attention to those details that happened all the way back then.
I hate to be that guy, but technically now it's 16 years.
Yes, but we just pretend it's not.
What happened to Scott, dude? I just see a picture of Scott.
Oh, this is what happened last podcast with my freaking camera over here.
At least you got a good, decent looking picture.
Quality. I know that's why I made sure that it's a good picture. And Connor made the stupid joke that whenever I don't have a mask on, the hair turns black.
And then my second most anticipated zone is going to be the Eddie zone. Again, just the fact that they're giving a nod to him, giving him his own thing, really sick for me. But for shows, I think I'm actually leaning towards the Lagoon show for number one, just because I know that going to a show in the Fear Factor stage can be a real hassle. Like you have to cut a pretty good portion out of your night to plan to go see it. But the Lagoon show, you can do a lot more spontaneously. You can just walk up and watch it. And I was so blown away by Marathon of Mayhem that I can't wait to see how they follow it up. So
Nice.
So yeah, that's what I got for hype at the moment.
The good thing about watching the Fear Factor show is there's 3 houses back there. So it's at least you have 3 houses back there. Also, I just want to say, to all the Florida people, you guys complain too much about walking. Let me tell you, man.
You don't even know the half of it.
Yeah, you don't
Especially, let me tell you a fucking story that I have to tell you. And I love them to death, but don't spend a night with TLAV at Halloween Horror Nights. Don't. Because you are going to walk, and if anyone in the West Coast, they know the struggle just walking back there once, back and forth. They like to go to the back lot and back like 5 times. And I'm like, I got fed up one point where I was to the point. Yeah, I got fed up to the point where I was just like, listen, we've done this shit in the past. We're going back there one time. We're hitting everything we need to hit back there, and we're coming back.
And if you want to hit it twice, we'll do it twice then.
if you want to go back and do it again, you're on your own. After I'm done with that area, I'm sticking back into the park for the rest of the night.
Dude, it is such a hike.
It is.
It like blows my mind to think about Hollywood and the fact that like you guys have literal escalators inside the theme park that takes you from one portion to the other.
And the park is built like on a mountain.
It's so weird. Well, because we don't really have mountains here. We have
exactly
like the anthill outside of my house is about as tall as it gets. So, we don't really have that. All of our parks are flat, which I actually do think people in Florida take for granted because
that is the one thing Savannah said every time that we've gone to Florida. She goes, it's too flat here. And I'm like, yeah, you don't see any mountains. And I was telling Adrian that too. I was like, when you come to California in July, you'll see everywhere you go, you see
every
a
theme park.
Everywhere you go.
Now that I'm thinking about it, though, Knott's doesn't have any. Knott's is all flat.
No, but if you look somewhere, you see a mountain in the background. In Florida,
you're talking about background. Yeah,
you literally, it's just flat. Everything is flat. There's no. It's so weird, dude. Like it's.
I can walk outside right now and I can see a mountain.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like
so weird.
It's funny every time I go to another state and see like even like a foothill. I'm like, wow, look at that mountain. That's crazy.
I know it's crazy because literally there's no like tiny hill.
You'll have a ball at Disneyland then when you go to the Pirates of the Caribbean area. Man, look at that hill right there. Oh my god,
dude!
California,
absolutely.
in California, people are like, God, this fucking hill again.
Yeah, like we have to walk up it.
But I think we take it for granted because like walking, all of our theme parks are flat, and when you drive, you don't have to worry about like mountains and stuff. You just drive on a flat road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Come to California, drive the 5 to the 101 to the Universal Studios. It's like, woo!
Yeah, it like blows my mind when I see videos of Hollywood. I'm like, dang, these guys have whole ass escalators in the park that takes you from one part of the park to the other.
Yeah,
like it's like that is so weird.
Yeah, and it's a hilarious. If you ever come to the event, you'll really love it during Halloween though, because they play nothing but metal.
Yeah, and plus like it's cool. Like it's unique.
I've almost started a full blown mosh pit on those escalators because they were playing.
Oh God,
they were playing Slayer. When Slayer comes on, you cannot help but not to mosh. You know what I mean? You have to mosh to Slayer, especially when Raining Blood comes on. It's like, all right, let's get it going.
You would have liked Vamp 85 because whenever they did the Vamp stage show, they would always play Misfits at the end of the show, and the Vamps would like jump off the stage and like run into the crowd and stuff to the Misfits. Which I think
I gotta probably would watch that show now.
You gotta go back in time and go to that zone as well.
Well, guys,
you got a time machine?
There you have it. That was our thoughts on HHN speculation maps, the new ones that just
presented in Tony
released.
Vision,
and and a little bit in between, which was nice because, like we always say, we like to keep it real here on Boo Bros. So if we go off topic or anything like that, I'm sorry, but we're not gonna stray away from
that's just us, but that's just us having a good time as
exactly
as
that's what, and I hope you guys enjoy that, and I feel like that's what people enjoy the most is just seeing raw and authentic and compared to just a whole
we have a script, but then like midway through we're like, fuck the script.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we don't even have a script. We just have like guidelines of things to talk about.
We have like notes. All right, we're gonna talk about this and this.
Yeah,
we're just talking about it like we normally would,
and that's why I'm really appreciative of all you guys who watch the videos and listen to the podcast, because it is nice that we can flip on the camera and and not think of it's work or anything. We can just think it's just us hanging out and people enjoying our conversations. And I think that's where we really succeeded. And hopefully by HHN and haunt season, we're even bigger than we already are, even though we're not big. So, but that's going to do it for today's episode here on the Boo Bros podcast. My name is Scott from SoCalExploring.
My name's Anthony from the Nights of Horror. Don't forget, we have a merch website, so go check that out too.
I'm Connor from ConnerFL. I'm just happy to be here.
Connor is the MVP in podcasts. He's done the most podcasts.
I'm on all the Boo Bros podcasts.
He is.
But yeah,
I was trying to match him, but then
I got ahead. What can
we'll
I
catch
say?
you guys on the next one.
Connor's a legend.
We'll catch you guys on the next one. If you're on Spotify, follow, and YouTube, subscribe and all that, and get your merch down below in the description. Yeah, stay spooky, everybody, and haunt season is coming. Peace out.
It's coming.